Ladies and gentlemen, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Please make him welcome. Let us remain standing. Let us remain standing for the playing of Jamaica's national anthem. And we should sing instead. So let's do this together. Eternal Father, bless our land. Guard us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil paths. Hear our light through countless hours. To our leaders, great defender, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be us forever. Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love. Teach us true respect for all. Stir response to duty's call. Strengthen us the weak to cherish. Give us vision lest we perish. Knowledge send us, Heavenly Father. Grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be us forever. Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love. Thank you very much. You sounded really beautiful. Please be seated. Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Ministers of Government and Members of Parliament, Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Minister of National Security, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism, and Honorable Marlene Malahoo Fort, Mr. Heroy Clark, Member of Parliament, Mr. Derek Kelly, Member of Parliament, His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Homer Davis, Mayor of the City of Montego Bay, Custos Rotalorum, His Honorable Bishop Conrad Pitkin, Custos of St. James, Mrs. Audrey Sewell, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation and Office of the Prime Minister, Mrs. Jennifer Griffith, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Senator Ransford Braham, Chairman, Urban Development Corporation, UDC, Mr. Godfrey Dyer, Chairman of the Tourism Enhancement Fund, TEF, boards of the UDC and TEF, as well as their management and staff, Ms. Heather Pinnock, Acting General Manager for UDC, Dr. Carey Wallace, Executive Director, Tourism Enhancement Fund, Reverend Clement Clark of the Water Lane New Testament Church of God, members of the business, civic, and religious communities, residents of Montego Bay and Western Jamaica, members of the media, a very good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. Yes, it is indeed a wonderful afternoon. Let me welcome everyone to this historic, groundbreaking event for the closed Harbour Beach Park, a very bold project that is right for the times, being spearheaded by the Urban Development Corporation and the Tourism Enhancement Fund as very valued partners. It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you today and to see the many persons who have turned out to participate this afternoon in this event. We dare not proceed without the blessings of the Lord. But before, let me invite Reverend Clement Clark, pastor of the Waterlane New Testament Church of God, to come to us to ask for God's blessings on our proceedings and on this very important project. Please make Reverend Clark welcome.
Let us pray. Almighty God, it is in you that we live and move and have our existence. You are sovereign Lord and you rule in the kingdom of men. You have made all things good, and you have given the earth for use, for our benefit and for your glory. Grant that we may use created things gratefully and share your gift with those in need. You have made us stewards over the created world, so that in all things we might honor the demands of love. Almighty God, you have raised up institutions and people in strategic positions and given us a cultural mandate that we must issue in service to and the development of people, causing them to helping them to achieve recognizable improvement in the quality of their lives. Grant, Lord, that we will be good stewards. We ask that your choicest bounties will be upon those who have made this initiative and this project possible. Cause that their good will redound towards community, and it will cause good to all. Grant the resources to bring about an expeditious finish that will enhance your kingdom and bring glory to your name and well-being to your people. So guide us and direct proceedings this afternoon, and cause that every activity that will be undertaken will redound to the praise, the glory, and the honor of your name, and all will give you glory. We ask you these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend Clark. We believe in divine protection, guidance, and strength as pillars of success for our nation, and ultimately, the closed Harbour Beach Park. Ladies and gentlemen, today is celebrated as Jamaica Day. See, I'm wearing my colors. All across the island, schools, business places, community groups are focused on the theme, celebrating Jamaica, embracing positive values, visioning inclusive education for a better Jamaica. This project today, which has seen many hours of hard work by the teams at UDC and TEF, is a testament to the positivity and the inclusivity, certainly a cause for celebration. This is a great day, I believe, for Jamaica. This is a great day for the Western region. This is indeed a great day for Montego Bay. One bay for all. As the guide for the program this afternoon, I believe I have the liberty to make a few changes, and I will do that at this time. We're going to move to our greetings from His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Homer Davis. And as first citizen, he will come at this time to bring his remarks. Please make him welcome.
Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Custos Rotolorum for the parish of St. James, Conrad Pitkin, CD, JP, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism and Member of Parliament for East Central St. James, Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Member of Parliament and Minister of National Security, Mrs. Marlene Malawu IV, our Attorney General and Member of Parliament. Minister, I'm seeing you in the West very often, and I know you're on a mission because wherever the West goes, as you have said, the rest will go. Carl Samuda, my friend. Minister Babsy Grange, very good friend. I can see a number of permanent secretaries. I can see a number of distinguished hoteliers. I can see a number of distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I can see other persons here in the audience that have a vested interest in this city, Montego Bay. But let me once again extend a cordial greetings to everyone present here, especially our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Mr. Prime Minister, on behalf of the citizens of St. James and Montego Bay, I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. And I also extend commendation to you for your astute leadership of the government and for the great job you have been doing in leading this country. Your work has certainly returned respect and honor to the city of Montego Bay and by extension, St. James. And for that, sir, the state of emergency, we are forever grateful of that intervention at the time in which it was done. Ladies and gentlemen, today's groundbreaking ceremony for the much anticipated development of Close Harbour Beach marked another delivery of prosperity which the government has promised to the Jamaican people. This project will change the face of Montego Bay for good, in that it will provide our citizens with much needed recreation space to enjoy Montego Bay fine lifestyle. This Close Harbour Beach, which forms part of UDC redevelopment program, will further enhance the reputation of Montego Bay as the leading tourism capital of the Caribbean. The parish is on the cusp of greatness, And this development forms part of the action in which Jamaica will be the place to live, work, do business, and raise families. The St. James Municipal Corporation fully endorses this development, which will add more value to this trip as you enter Jimmy Cliff Boulevard, Sunset Boulevard, soon to be renamed Godfrey Dyer Boulevard, and the elegant corridor going east will create more green space for the people of St. James. Honorable Prime Minister, how could I speak today without paying homage to a visionary whose decision in the late 1960, which was to transform Montego Bay waterfront by land reclamation. I speak of our former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Edward Philip George Seaga. Many persons speak about Dump Up Beach, but I'd like them to understand how it came about. It came about because of the vision of our then Minister of Development, Honorable Edward Seaga. I looked across and I saw Mr. Tony Hart, OJ, who also in the 1960s conceptualized the reclamation of lands on which Montego Freeport now sits. His vision has turned that peninsula into prime real estate and possible the most expensive area in Jamaica. We have suffered in this city for far too long. We have seen a number of our prime beaches taken away from the citizens under development. And I speak to Cornwall Beach, the Marley Beach, and that is just to name a few. This close Harbour Beach is for the people of St. James, and it is for the people of Jamaica. I am happy that I am the mayor at this time to see this era being transformed into what is rightfully belonging to the people. And I remember having a discussion with Minister Chang recently, and it had to do with the development of the old hospital at the time. And I know that his passion was for here to be developed from that time. And he's still very upset because as a result of some level of neglect, we have lost a couple of acres of land due to the poor condition of the grinds that are out there. So a part of going forward, we need to see those grinds being repaired. And not only those grinds, we need to see the continuation of drainage to the North Gully. Because without that, we might not enjoy the purity of the water that we'll seek to enjoy when we attend our beaches here. So once again, Mr. Prime Minister, a man of vision, a man who I have the greatest confidence in to lead us along that path in making Jamaica a better place to live, to work, to raise family, and do business. And God bless you, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Davis. We are indeed grateful for the sustained partnership with the St. James Municipal Corporation and also the Inter-American Development Bank. And we do look forward to many more collaborations as we create one Montego Bay for all. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now enjoy a cultural offering from the rich, diverse, and vibrant city of Montego Bay. Let's now welcome the Evolution Dancers. They're members of Show Jam, a premier entertainment provider here in the West, and they have a dance for us. It is entitled Rise Up. So put your hands together for them as they come. Rise Up. Rise Up. Did you enjoy that? Well, let's see some appreciation. Come on, put your hands together. Thank you very much, dancers. Such inspiration and passion, I believe, reflect the heart of the people of what we used to call the magic city of Montego Bay. Yes, so we have to recapture that magic at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, let me invite Senator Ransford Braham, who is the chairman of the Urban Development Corporation, UDC. He is going to come at this time to tell us a little bit more about the closed Harbour Beach Park project. Please make him welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I must start by apologizing for being late. May I then acknowledge our Prime Minister, Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Ministers of Government, Members of Parliament who are present here today, the Custos, His Worship the Mayor, members of the Board of the UDC, members of the Board of the Tourism Enhancement Fund, the management of both organizations, Mr. Winston Deere, Chairman of the Montego Bay Advisory Committee, and the executive management team of both TEF and the UDC, members of the media, citizens, and other specially invited guests. In the circumstances, I think that I am here for the second time on this spot. And on this occasion, I am at a point where the ground is going to be broken on this very spot. That means that we have reached a stage of implementation. And I think that the UDC and the Tourism Enhancement Fund, we are very proud to be at this stage. This has been long in coming, and I want to say that speaking on behalf of both organizations, it is a privilege to acknowledge this day. I want to remind you that the UDC has been involved in Montego Bay for decades. And indeed, this aspect of the Closed Harbour Beach development and the other beaches along this stretch has been the function of the UDC, past members and boards and staff members who has developed it, and we have reached a stage for further development. The important thing is that the government of Jamaica is promoting beach development and recreational spaces. In this project, we have gotten 2 in 1. It is going to be significant for this part of Jamaica, and particularly for Montego Bay. And I think that I want to say that it is a privilege to be here, even late, to acknowledge this momentous occasion and to say thank you for accommodating us. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Chairman Braham. We are indeed excited about what the UDC and the TEF in partnership will accomplish as part of Vision 2030 in transforming Jamaica. We heard it from the mayor earlier on, to be that place to live, work, do business, and raise families, and especially here in hometown, Montego Bay. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe you will agree that our beaches are among the best in the world, and our people a cultural and musical powerhouse. Our Minister of Culture is with us. Our Minister of Tourism is with us. And I believe there is no better person to tell this to the world than our global ambassador, our global tourism ambassador. So let us put our hands together right now and welcome the Honorable Edmund Bartlett.
I suppose I should say thank you, Spruce Up. Or Sprucey. Sprucey. Don't want to make any mistake. Evolution dancers, rise up. I want a special hand for the evolution dancers. Because this afternoon sounds like evolution and rising up. Our most honorable Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica. And permit me to since I am not the one introducing him, and the mayor has already welcomed him. But permit me to say in this my salutations that I want to specially welcome our Prime Minister to Montego Bay on this particular occasion, because his presence indicates the renaissance of tourism destination Montego Bay. I'll have a little more to say about that in a minute. The Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, our Minister of National Security, Member of Parliament for this constituency. I feel a little jealous, but it's all right. The Honorable Carl Samuda, who is the Minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister, but whose responsibilities will cover all that we have to do in this renaissance of destination Montego Bay that we're talking about. And later on when the PM speaks, I'm sure he'll tell you something else that will further indicate how key Carl is going to be to us in our development over the next few years. The Honorable Olivia Babsy-Grange, our Minister of Culture, Gender, Sports, Entertainment, and so many other things. And we had a wonderful walk this morning. We can't talk about that now, but later. The Attorney General, our Attorney General, and our Minister for the constituency of West Central. You see, her constituency call her Minister. And so if I'm standing here before you on the edges of her constituency, I have to say Minister. Our Attorney General, the Honorable Marlene Malahoo Fort. And I want to ask, of course, His Worship the Mayor and the Custos to forgive me for mentioning someone who we had not mentioned in the original protocols. And that is the Minister of State in the Ministry of National Security, the Honorable Rudyard Spencer. Very nice to have you, Ruddy. The Queen's representative and the Governor General's proxy in the wonderful parish of St. James, the Honorable Conrad Pickney. And of course, our first citizen, the Mayor, His Worship, Councillor Omar Davis, and my Member of Parliament, and Dr. Chang insists is his protege, but I know I have a role in it, MP Hero Clark. Permanent secretaries, chairpersons of various boards, executive partners in the various governance areas of this wonderful government, ladies and gentlemen all, today is indeed a red letter day for the city of Montego Bay. And I'm delighted to be the minister responsible for tourism at such a time as this, when the re-imaging of Montego Bay as a destination will really formally begin. Much has been said and done in the last few years by creating structures and landscaping and other types of enhancements within the Montego Bay area to position Montego Bay, but we haven't done it. We haven't done it because the holistic vision as to where Montego Bay must be 10 to 20 years' time had not properly emerged. I want to let you know that our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, has that vision, enunciated that vision, and we are going to carry that vision to make the new Montego Bay destination. But it's not only Montego Bay that we're re-imaging. We're re-imaging Negril. We're re-imaging Horace. We're doing Port Antonio, but more importantly, we are creating a new destination in St. Thomas, which you will hear about. So, with the vision and direction of the builder, with the vision and direction of the builder, we are going to make a new tourism for Jamaica. And a part of that new tourism is to create more livable, walkable, and available space for the ordinary Jamaican. And we're excited that an inclusive tourism does not function without the total involvement and the access of all the people of our country. And we know we have limited space, so we have to utilize that space efficiently and effectively. And much of the beach spaces that we have had to be used for hotels and other types of tourism plans. But we cannot ignore the fact that our first obligation is to our people and to make sure that our people have access to the best facilities that are available. And it is against that background that we are starting with this closed harbor facility, a name that I know will evolve and rise up and be new and be part of the renaissance that I spoke about. But for now, let's say Closed Harbor Beach, the essence of which will be to provide a multi-tiered facility to enable the use of all of us, visitors, international tourists, and domestic tourists alike. And one of the things that I want to emphasize in this 1 minute that I have left is that the building out of capacity for domestic tourism is vital to the sustainable development of our industry in Jamaica. And it is creating spaces like these and other such spaces that no doubt will come in other parts of Montego Bay, certainly in Kingston and across the island, that we will enable domestic tourism to thrive and to be able to ensure that all Jamaicans feel a part of the growth and development that tourism is offering, and they can say, tourism is working for me. God bless you all. Wonderful occasion today. Let us bask in the glory of this new look, and let us make sure that the new Montego Bay embraces the energy and spirit of all of us as a people.
Thank you so much, Minister Bartlett, our Minister of Tourism. We look forward to the increased tourist arrivals and to hosting visitors and residents alike within another 24 months, I believe, at this very spot in the Caribbean's largest beach park. That is what it will become. And speaking of hosting, let me invite to address us one of the chief architects and champions of this dream of building the closed harbor beach park, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Member of Parliament within whose constituency most of the boundaries of this park fall, with the rest in Member of Parliament, Mr. Hero Clark's constituency. He has a little taste of it. Thankfully, Dr. Chang also serves as Minister of National Security, which gives us peace of mind that all the social and security concerns will be considered in the operation of this park. Please make welcome Dr. Horace Chang.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Andrew Horace, Prime Minister and leader of the Jamaica Labour Party, my colleague, Member of Parliament and Minister of Tourism, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, colleague, Member of Parliament, I'm sorry, I'll take President, I'm Member of Parliament and Attorney General, Mrs. Marlene Malo Fort, who is a member for West Central, but a part of Montego Bay, colleague Member of Parliament, Hero Clark, who shares this area with me, right on the border, actually, right? I'm not sure how they cut the corners, Prime Minister, but someone went and took the road out on the beach and put on my constituency. I left him there. In fact, I just found out I go all the way to the parish council. My colleague minister, my friend, Honorable Carl Samuda, the colonel, I will call him the 8-star general. Good to see you in Montego Bay. When you're here, you bring good things here. But I know you like the town. I want to come here more often. And of course, colleague minister, Oliver Babs-Grange, the Minister of Culture and Gender Affairs and all the things that there's been identified before. Custis, Bishop Conrad Pitkin, His Worship Mayor Councillor Homer Davis, and my colleague in the Ministry of National Security, Member of Parliament from Clarendon, but Minister in the Ministry of National Security, Mr. Roddy Spencer, the distinguished members of the board of the UDC, and all distinguished guests. They're all constituents of Montego Bay. They're all my special friends and distinguished visitors this evening. It's a real pleasure to join you this evening at this event, a very historic and momentous event for Montego Bay. I think that many of us have been looking towards this event for a long time. And I think Bishop or Pastor Clark have to help me out, but there's a good saying, it's a biblical saying that all things work together for good for those who believe, right? Now, I say that because, you see, for those who love the Lord, all right, correct. When the Montego Bay waterfront was dredged and land reclaimed, for those who are younger, it went all the way back to the library. In fact, I recall, and I see Mr. Pierce in the back there, we used to have a reading circle behind the library on the beach. This property was designed then was reclaimed in the early 70s, although I think the planning was done prior to that. But the idea was to put a high-rise building on the waterfront. I think some realize that. That is what, and that's why I use the quotation, all things work together for good for those who love because in the end, it's only in recent years, the concept of a expansive beachfront resort came on being, and I think the environmentalists became alive, and we all agreed that this was the ideal thing for Montego Bay. And this entire area, all the way to the old Hospital Park, could be a signature waterfront park that you could refer to anywhere you go in the globe to come to Montego Bay, visit the park. It would become like, when you go to New York, let's say Central Park, when you come to Montego Bay, you visit our waterfront park. It's a fantastic piece of real estate. It's beautiful, it's attractive, and it really will establish Montego Bay in a premier way as a destination, as the minister have indicated. For me, too, there's another very important feature of what's taking place here today in Montego Bay. And I think one of the challenges we have had as a town is that we have developed as two towns. There's a tourism resort represented by the Hill Strip, and there is downtown Montego Bay, which has some very challenging situation. In fact, only recently someone remarked and recalled that Canterbury, which is one of our most difficult areas, and we do have some plans for that. The Prime Minister is aware. We are doing some work in there, and the Minister Samuda is aware of it, to in fact take some significant improvement in the character of that community. But Canterbury came about when, post-independence in our development, we moved to relocate a set of very humble people at what was called Marga Bay and built the courthouse and the post office and the library. And in many ways, that symbolized what has happened in Montego over the years. The Montegonians are pushed back and left behind, and the resort areas are allowed to proceed and grow, and wealth emerge in that area. That has been the history of Montego Bay. And I think today, this development, one of significant integration of Montegonians with the resort development, sends a signal that this government under Andrew Horace will not leave anybody behind and will pursue a process of integrated development and shared prosperity for everyone. That, to me, is the emotional meaning of this, because this beach is where downtown people come to enjoy themselves, play football, and work. And the concept of allowing continued access, but developing a beachfront of quality, where everyone can come, every visitor, every Montegonian can relax. We'll have the appropriate facilities, both in change rooms and in beach facility and other recreational activity here, and some low-lying sports bar type activity, all designed to attract a wide cross-section of the country and all the visitors who come to Montego Bay to have a wonderful time and this very special place in Montego Bay. As I said, it is a very symbolic event. It's a very signature recreational activity, but symbolic in terms of indicating clearly to the wider constituency of St. James that this is the philosophy of this government, that we will have integrated development and shared prosperity for the people of all Jamaica. So I will not say much more. There's much more to be done to ensure that Montego Bay takes its place as the best city in the Caribbean. Right? We have our challenges. We admit to them. We work to ensure we can overcome them. Much work is being done by this government, led by our Prime Minister. But indeed, today, I leave that to him to say, you know, it's a particular pleasure to speak just for your eyes, to welcome him to Montego Bay again. We have had some very interesting and pleasant times in Montego Bay. In fact, having the parent, there's a time when you say, when there are challenges, you come to Montego Bay, it raises the spirit. And today, I'll put it the other way. He has come to Montego Bay to raise our spirits today, because really initiating and ensuring that this particular development take place is something that contributes to lifting the entire spirit of the town. All of us in this town feel great and wonderful that this, the Montego Bay Waterfront Park, and you may choose a more appropriate name at the later stage, but this signals what is the new Montego Bay. And the new Montego will emerge under the leadership of this Prime Minister and the members and team of members of Parliament in this town, with the Mayor and the entire team of MPs that are working together to ensure that Montego Bay will see real development that reaches across the entire spectrum of its social circles. Wealth will be created in the tourism sector, and our people in our industry will have work and a place to live and enjoy themselves. And certainly Montego Bay will be the place to live, work, and raise their families in this decade. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We look forward to continuing work.
Good evening, everyone. History, a beautiful woman with the sweetest gift, beautiful sunrise and an evening kiss. I can't find a sunset on an evening sea sky. She says she's tired of the exploits and the liard. She give them reggae, give them trees, give them flowers and the fern, and she got was abused in return. But I say, don't you worry your head, mama. When it's his head to your head, mama. Don't worry yourself, mommy. And one thing I beg her to do for me, and I say smile, girl, smile, smile for me, Jamaica. And I say smile, girl, smile, ooh Lord, smile for me, Jamaica. Whenever you cry, here am I. Yes, I'm here for you, Jamaica. Dry your eyes, smile, smile for me, Jamaica. Oh, 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 oh. those days. I really miss those days, yeah. Remember the song used to make you rock away. Those were the days when love used to reign. We danced all night to the songs they play. We can come again and do it just the same. Now I feel it to my heart. Such a golden time as to party, yeah. And it's hardly any safe place left to go. Someone's bound to come and try to spoil the show. Remember the song used to make you rock away. Those were the days when love used to reign. We danced all night to the songs we played. We can come again and do it just the same. Remember the song used to make you rock away. Those were the days when love used to reign. We danced all night to the songs they play. We can come again and do it just the same, just the same. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me just thank one of Montego Bay's finest talents, the Too Good Vocal Group. They're part of the Show Jam Entertainment Company. I want to thank them for that lovely item. And if you enjoyed it, please make them feel welcome. And of course, before that, we heard from Dr. Horace Chang, a member of parliament for this constituency. Thank you for your charge, Dr. Chang. We hope everyone was listening in, and that we will all take collective responsibility for the first world maintenance. When it's done, we will have to make sure we maintain this. So we're all going to take responsibility for the first world maintenance of this facility. May I invite everyone at this time to look to the screen for a short video presentation. The TEF and the UDC are excited, very excited, to get this project off the ground. So please, give your attention.
A change is coming for Montego Bay.
Thank you for your charge.
Imagine this 16-acre closed Harbour beach property transformed into a world-class recreational space, featuring a free access license public beach, beach showers, changing rooms, multi-purpose parks, jogging trails, landscaped
May I invite everyone at this time to look to the screen for a short video presentation.
public restrooms,
The TEF
commercial
and the
areas,
UDC
a place
are
for
excited,
recreation,
very
meditation,
excited to get
fun.
this project off the ground. So please,
The Urban Development
your
Corporation
attention.
and the Tourism Enhancement Fund, partnering to make development happen through making your tourism dollar work for you. A change is coming for Montego Bay.
Thank you for your charge.
Imagine this 16-acre.
In another quarters, they would say SSS, short, sweet, and spicy. But it looks good, and we are excited. Ladies and gentlemen, he describes himself as the builder. reference was made earlier on. And all across Jamaica, we're seeing some remarkable transformation of roads, new enforce our place towards developed status. Ladies and gentlemen, Montego Bay, let us receive the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Marlene, for your excellent conduct and direction of this ceremony. Let me acknowledge the Custos and our first citizen, Mayor Homer Davis. Let me also acknowledge our ministers of government, our members of parliament, our permanent secretaries, heads of government agencies and boards, and our distinguished business people of St. James, of Montego Bay, and indeed, all distinguished ladies and gentlemen here this afternoon. It is my great pleasure to be in your presence and in your company in the great city of Montego Bay. I must let you in on a little secret that there is some amount of ceremony fatigue setting in. The ministers will privately confess to this because, I do maybe 3 or 4 of these events per week. And I keep a check of the groundbreakings, the announcement ceremonies, the openings, and I think I've gone over 50 so far, easily so far. So I'm going to give my permanent secretary, who is here with us today, a directive that we have to now develop a standard form for ceremonies that are more efficient with our time, because there will be so many more ceremonies to do to acknowledge so many more of the great things that are left to be done. So that form would be that, for example, once the salutations are announced by the Director of Protocol, then we don't need to do it again. So we cut 5 minutes or more. Things like that, to be more efficient with our time, that we don't sit for 2.5 hours in ceremony. Ceremony is an important part of the human existence. We have to celebrate our achievements. The problem with ceremonies is that they oftentimes become the end of effort. And then we believe we have achieved. There's so many more things to be done, so many more things that are being planned. So I happen to know that the agencies are also having a kind of fatigue, that there are just too many projects that are being developed, and there's a logjam sometimes in getting the projects through the ministries. But as it relates to this project in particular, there is an important aspect of it, which is the repair of the groins, which is absolutely important for the preservation of our coastal area and our waterfront. So yes, the project will contribute to the public space and the beautification, but it will also significantly improve our resilience, certainly in terms of any weather shocks that may occur due to climate change. So an important part of this project, the repair of the groins, is in keeping with our thrust of building resilient infrastructure. So I want the citizens of Montego Bay to be assured that your government is doing its part in ensuring that your city is safe if there were any unforeseen or even salient weather events that could cause destruction to life and property. In listening to the presentations, it is clear to me that Montego Bay has a special place in Jamaica. And Montego Bay has some special people. Montego Bay, in my estimation, is representative of the essence of what it means to be Jamaican. Enterprise, industry, creativity. And the government has to support that. Kingston, as a city, was founded on the 22nd of July, I believe it was 1692. I remember the 22nd of July because of a special date. 1692, I believe it was. Almost 370 years or so ago. Montego Bay was officially declared, I think it was granted city status in 1980 in October, and probably was officially declared somewhere about 1982. So in comparing the two cities, Kingston, more than 300 years old, Montego Bay, almost 40 years old now. When you look at the scale and speed of development of Montego Bay, clearly Montego Bay has developed much more rapidly than Kingston. So Montego Bay, as the essence of a strong cultural base, it also has the essence of a strong economy. An economy driven mainly by tourism. This project is being funded by the Tourism Enhancement Fund. That is for somewhere in the region of 600 million Jamaican dollars. I want to pull on that a little bit because there is a growing sense as the tourism economy expands that the people who make tourism really happen, that they are not being treated fairly, that they are being left behind in many instances. And a critical principle of our government is inclusivity, fairness, and equity. And I want to assure all Montegonians, all resident citizens of St. James who depend on the tourism industry, that your government will not sit by and allow the industry to evolve around you and past you, and you are not the beneficiary. It is something that is strongly believed in the party. Senator Sinclair, who is also a councillor in the parish council, recently moved a motion. And he obviously feels strongly enough to do so. And I want to assure, again, those persons who work in the industry that your Minister of Tourism is the biggest advocate for example, pensions for tourism workers. For training and development of our entertainers so that they can meet world-class standards in our tourism product. And ensuring that the profits and the revenues and the benefits of tourism redound to the people. This park will be one example of us being faithful to that principle of inclusivity. We are using the revenues generated to build this park. But the government of Jamaica is also an integral partner, because from the taxes of the people of Jamaica, we are putting in a further $600 million to build this park. So it is a joint venture, therefore, between the TEF, the Tourism Enhancement Fund, and the government of Jamaica, meaning the taxes of the people of Jamaica, to create this park. Now, I want to just go back very briefly to the notion of a city. And why is it that we declare areas as cities? What qualifies an area to be a city? Obviously, it's the population size. It's one criteria. The other is the infrastructure. That usually qualifies both the social and the physical infrastructure. So cities, they usually have, in the medieval times, it would have to have a cathedral. It would have to have a center of learning, maybe a hospital, and schools. So the infrastructure defines the city. But the most important definition of the city is the close connection. People are living in very close proximity to where they produce. So the city offers the residential opportunity and it offers the productive opportunity, all in close quarters. So there's a reason why the term city is derived from the Latin origin of citizen, which is also, again, part of the whole concept of civilization. It really means that people living in the close proximity of this notion of a city must have civility. In fact, if cities don't have civility, they die. It requires the person living in the city to be able to live with each other, living closely, respectful of each other, and it requires the establishment of public order and the rule of law. So you can predict very easily when a city will grow. The prediction is not so much based on the investment in the infrastructure. It is really based on whether or not the city has observed the rule of law and public order. Once those two critical elements are in place, which defines the civility and ultimately the civilization of the people, then the city will grow and expand. Montego Bay, as I said before, has all the elements. But there are some challenges. And you know the major one is crime. Crime ruins the civility, the ease of the citizen to maneuver within the space of the city. Whether or not they can come out on the road late at night and have fun without worrying, how do I get back home? Will somebody rob me? Can my children go to school easily? All these are issues which form serious boundaries, constraints, restrictions on the growth of the city. I want to assure the citizens of Montego Bay gathered here today that we see Montego Bay as a city that could be the pearl of the Caribbean. And we are making the investments in your city, both in terms of the infrastructure, but more importantly, in establishing the rule of law and public order. Both things go together. Not everyone sees the importance of public order. There is a political debate. What is more important? And how do you secure the rights of the citizen? Can you secure the rights of the citizen in chaos? Can you secure the right of the individual freedom in chaos? Can you secure the individual freedom in a situation where there is no public order and there is no rule of law? What comes first? We in this city, a year ago, literally faced the collapse of public order and the rule of law in Montego Bay. The government had to act, and we acted decisively so that we could preserve the individual freedoms of the citizens of Montego Bay. Some among us do not see it that way. And I'm observing very closely what is happening in the city and indeed right across the country. And I'm seeing a return to the level of lawlessness that existed before the declaration of the state of public emergency. Let me make it absolutely clear to those criminals who believe that by virtue of the vote in Parliament they have political cover. Take no such comfort. This government will act, even if the opposition feels that it is their duty to offer comfort to those who will cause you discomfort. We will act. So, in making sure that the city can grow, there are some other investments to come. You can count this one as already done. I gather it will take 24 months, but I'm asking you to do it in 18. Traffic is another issue for this town, because another important element of the growth of the city is connectivity. And if your roads are clogged, connectivity becomes an issue. So the bypass is well underway. The designs are now being finalized. We did some preliminary designs to work out the alignment. The alignment has essentially been settled. And so, you know, these roads, they take quite a bit of planning that is being done. And I believe we should have a sign-off from China. Is it Development Bank or Exim Bank, please? Exim Bank shortly, as it relates to funding the road. But whichever way, we will fund the road. The road will be funded. And so that will increase your connectivity. And that will make it easier for your economy to grow and expand. Just today, Minister Bartlett would have toured a piece of land within the city proper. And the idea there is to create a government center, a government circle. Because every city has to have public administration. And that public administration has to be accessible by all its citizens, but it also must reflect the dreams and aspirations and your own pride in your own government, your pride in your country and in your state. It must also not just reflect the dignity of the state, but it must reflect the efficiency of the state. And therefore, we will be creating within the city of Montego Bay your own government center where all the services of the government will be administered and easily available. But that center will also have a world-class performing arts center. And the idea behind it is that you have an amazing convention center, but if you're going to get into the business of convention, maybe I shouldn't say too much, I should allow the Minister of Tourism because this is really your field, but if you're going to have a footprint, a serious footprint in the convention business, you know, after people have meetings and after they have gone to the beach, they might want to see the exposition of Jamaican culture in the performing arts. So you could very well have on your, within the product of tourism in Montego Bay, your own performing arts theater where you will bring together not just your dance, but your drama, your music, and your singing. And Minister Grange will ensure that we have the people well trained and our culture well represented in the tourism product. And you will hear more about that. The construction of the road will require the government to acquire lands. There may be some relocation necessary. But we will use this as an opportunity to also address the infrastructure needs of the communities which have sprung up over time around Montego Bay, but which we have not addressed their basic infrastructure needs. So we are going to use the development of the ring road, the bypass road, to address many of the issues of informal and irregular settlements. So all in all, I think we are on a good track. You know, democracy is such that everyone can express their views. Some views are true and some are untrue. Some have all kinds of selfish motives and some have national motives. But I trust the Jamaican people to pick sense out of nonsense. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, for your insightful and passionate address. I believe that the Tourism Enhancement Fund and the Urban Development Corporation will continue to execute their mandates. And that mandate includes actioning the vision of a better Jamaica for all of us. Thank you once again. And speaking of passion, who better to give the vote of thanks than Chairman of the Montego Bay Advisory Committee and UDC Board Director, Mr. Winston Deere. He is an ardent citizen of this beautiful city, and he plays a very critical role in the visioning process for Montego Bay's advancement. Mr. Deere.
Thank you, Marlene. This is, in fact, such a proud moment for me. It's more like 20 years we've been trying to develop such a facility. Mr. Prime Minister, the Honorable Andrew Holness, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism, Mr. Horace Chang, Minister of National Security, and our Attorney General, Marlene Malahoo Fort, the Honorable Custos, Conrad Pitkin, His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Homer Davis, distinguished members of Parliament and ministers, and on the local scene, Mr. Winston Lawson, President of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Omar Robinson, President of the Jamaica Hotel and Jamaica Hotel and Tourism Association, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to give a big thank you to our Prime Minister, the Honorable Andrew Holness. His efforts in facilitating the creation of Jamaica's first national beach park is so commendable and exciting. There is no doubt that it will be an icon, a rather iconic feature that will transform the city of Montego Bay. I must also express our deep appreciation for the input of Minister Horace Chang and Minister Edmund Bartlett and all the members of Cabinet who made this venture possible. Further, if we did not have the support of the Tourism Enhancement Fund, it's unlikely that we have created this facility. I therefore ask you to join me in thanking the TEF, chaired by the Honorable Godfrey Dyer, who executed this. And maybe even a larger chair for the Urban Development Corporation, led by our super chairman, Ransford Braham, and his staff, and my own advisory committee, MAC, who together produced this state-of-the-art master plan for the Montego Bay waterfront. Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, a project of this magnitude cannot be executed overnight. The wheel started rolling almost 2 years ago, and it required planning and a bird's eye view for detail. We have been fortunate enough to have the backing of a team of a very motivated and dedicated colleagues of the UDC who know their job and are result-oriented. Thank the UDC. And as we move on, we are proud of our dynamic mayor and thank him for his words of wisdom. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'd like to thank sincerely the Reverend Clement Clark for bringing the presence of the Lord to our midst. We enjoyed the evolution dances and the Too Good group, and they were tremendous at entertaining us. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to thank you for being present today, for your involvement, for your interest, and ask that you become an integral member of our oversight committee of the park. Join the support team which I have nicknamed the Montego Bay Friends of the Park, MOP, to assist in making the park our home, away from home, maintaining it in a pristine manner, and the icon of our city. I look forward to the support of corporate Jamaica, participating as friends of the park, giving generously to the trust to assist the funding of the upkeep and cultural activities. Can you imagine that on a Sunday afternoon, we could have groups like Two Good Group playing for us, and the Evolution dancers dancing for us. So that is my dream, and certainly the dream of the UDC, to create an active park that will bring us all together to enjoy the facility. And the first charge that I make to the friends of the park will be to find a suitable name for the closed harbor project. The minister will certainly endorse that. So please volunteer to become members of MOP, get involved, and serve in whatever capacity you are able to manage. I have asked Mr. Fred Smith, I don't know if he's here. If he's here, stand up. I don't see him. Not here. Okay, Fred is going to chair MOP, and if you would like to join us in this noble effort, please contact him. It is our park, and I thank you. I bid you well. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dare, for thanking all of us. And thanks to everyone for being here with us today. It is our hope that this park will be used by all and passed on to future generations as a treasured gift. Now, we have a few final instructions for the ceremonial groundbreaking, which will close this afternoon's proceedings. We will have 3 photo opportunities, and we ask everyone else to remain seated, view the screens as the Jamaica Information Service provides the video feed for your viewing pleasure. After the groundbreaking, we invite persons to enjoy refreshments to my left. And in the meantime, I'd like to invite the media and persons who are on the program to join us in the area to my immediate left, almost back left. And you will be assisted by our ushers this afternoon. The first photo opportunity will be led by our Prime Minister, flanked by the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, Attorney General Marlene Malahou-Fort, MP Heroy Clark, Mrs. Audrey Sewell, Senator Ransford Braham, Mr. Godfrey Dyer, Dr. Kerry Wallace, His Worship Homer Davis, Miss Heather Pinnock, and Honorable Carl Samuda. So please, I believe we have, let me see, 1, 2. We have, I believe, 12. Yes, I think we have 12 gadgets, so we're going to keep it at that. So our Prime Minister will lead, Dr. Horace Chang, Minister Bartlett, our Attorney General, MP Clark, Mrs. Sewell, Senator Braham, Mr. Dyer, Dr. Kerry Wallace, Ms. Heather Pinnock, Honorable Carl Samuda, and His Worship Homer Davis. I am not seeing Mr. Kellier. All right, so in the meantime, we will have GIS share that moment with you via live screen. May I invite our ministers who are still in the audience to join us on this side. We may not have enough headgear, but please join us for the photo opportunity. I believe there's Minister Spence and Minister Grange, and I'm not seeing Mr. Kellier. But please join us for the photo opportunity. Our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, please join us. Madame P.S., Mrs. Griffith, please join us. Minister Grange. All right. And this is a moment we have long awaited. Yes, shovels are ready. Here we go. We need some more dirt, yes. One. All right, there you go. When it's nice, you do it twice, so let's have a repeat of that, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. And the soil has been broken. And then we're going to have a second photo opportunity. But let's allow our press to do as many as they need at this time. Our second opportunity will be Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, our Attorney General, MP Heroy Clark. We do have another photograph. May I invite Mr. Ransford, Senator Ransford Braham, to come for another photo op. Mr. Godfrey Dyer, Dr. Carey Wallace, Ms. Heather Pinnock, and Mr. Winston Deere. And this will be for the second opportunity. There's one for Dr. Horace Chang, Dr. Honorable Edmund Bartlett, our Attorney General, and MP Heroy Clark. I believe we want you to get a photograph with our heads of agencies. Is that possible? Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us. Travel home safely. God bless and Godspeed. Senator Braham, Mr. Dyer, Dr. Wallace, Ms. Pinnock, and Mr. Winston Deere. Ms. Pinnock. We would like to have all our members of parliament for this photo op. All of our members of parliament for St. James, we'd like to have you in this next photo. Yes.
All right, but you're doing this one.
Minister Chang, Minister Bartlett, and our Attorney General, please. We would like a photo with all our members of parliament for St. James.